I hope that you're all as good as can be expected. What I thought we would do with tonight's stream is take these tentative steps back to some form of normality. So rather than going with the usual format of me coming on talking about stories that I'd like to bring to your attention, I thought tonight what we'd do is leave it up to you guys to steer the conversation. Obviously, we will discuss the futures of Ibrahima Konate and Luis Diaz as per the thumbnail, but any direction that you guys would like the chat to go in, as always, it is your show, so do let me know. I know I had said that I was going to get back to normal today, but truth be told, I couldn't bring myself to put out transfer news videos today. Just couldn't. I wasn't there yet, so probably going to move ahead with that from tomorrow. Connor returns from vacation today as well, so we'll have a proper chance to catch up with him and speak about some type of dedication to Diogo and our background and stuff like that. But today I just wasn't there. I just didn't feel ready. So I hope we're all okay. And again, thank you to those that joined us. If perhaps you're watching this and you're not ready to jump back into the chat yet, absolutely understandable. We are here whenever you guys are ready. There's certainly no rush or no push from us. We understand that people are viewing this situation and are dealing with this situation in their own way, and that's the best way to do it. So as always, thank you for the kind messages and stuff over the past few days as well. It's very much appreciated. So yeah, look, I thought I'd just drop into the chat and start to see how people are. Stuart said, Craig, how are you, my man? Like everybody, a little bit better today than yesterday, and but still not returning to normality, to be honest with you. But I wanted to kick off actually by just sharing my perspective on something, if that's okay. I'd seen our friends at the likes of Anfield Sector, Anfield Edition, and a few others speak about the fact that they're boycotting the Daily Mail over the coverage of the funeral, and I absolutely stand in solidarity with both of those accounts and people that view that way. I have a slightly different perspective on how I look at these things, and for me, no disagreement whatsoever around the low-life behaviour of some of the coverage around the situation with Diogo and Andre, and I absolutely stand in solidarity with my fellow fans on that one. For me, though, I don't really like the idea of censorship, personally. What I think is just ignore. Just absolutely don't talk about them, ignore them. But in these situations in life, for me, I think that's the way to kill off or give a lack of air to these people in these situations, is just don't give them the attention. So I just wanted to put it out there in case anybody doesn't see a post from us or anything like that about it. Absolutely 100% standing with all of my fellow Liverpool fans who feel that way. For me, though, as I said, I view these things in a little bit of a different way, and I just don't want to give them any attention. So that's the way we'll be moving forward with it. But again, I just want to make sure that they know that they certainly have our full respect, and it isn't a decision against anything like those accounts who do good work. Right, so let's move on. So look, where we're at with the situation with Diogo and, excuse me, not Diogo, my apologies. I mean, yeah, you can see we're still not there, right? The where we're at with the situation with Diaz is that it's some conflicting reports today. There's variations of the same thing, basically saying that he wants to move to Bayern Munich and that he's told Bayern Munich that he'd like to move there. This from the likes of Christian Falk. We've got reports from Florian Plettenberg as well, who say Bayern aren't giving up on Diaz. Max Erbel remains on the case, but is also assessing other options. Any agreement between Diaz and Bayern is denied by all sides last week. A call was made to Liverpool and they were told he's not for sale. So I don't know what's happening around Diaz and his situation. It feels like he wants out based off the reports. But again, we haven't heard from the man yet. What we do know is that Lewis has said he's happy at Liverpool. He said that, yes, he's been speaking to other clubs. Spoke about this, I think, a few weeks ago in the window. Yeah, I don't know where we're at with it, but my view has always been the same on these things. If you don't want to be at this football club, then leave, and we'll find a way to do so. But again, like I said, we need to hear from the player himself. I'm certainly not going to be throwing my weight in behind reports coming from Germany that are very one-sided reports, of course, to try and help out a German football club. So for me, I certainly have some doubts around the whole situation. But if there is anybody who doesn't want to be at Liverpool Football Club, particularly with where this club is at in their development under Arne Slot and with the backing they've had in the window, I don't care. Fuck off. Leave. If that's what you want. That's kind of where my head's at with it. Like we said, we seen the report a few weeks ago from, I think it was the Echo, who said that despite reports in the media, Luis Diaz earns about £140,000 per week at Liverpool, according to information put to them from the club. So again, I don't really have time for sympathy in these regards. If Konate wants to run down his deal and join Real Madrid, well, you know my stance on that, and it hasn't changed. My stance is pretty clear. If you don't want to be at this football club, then sit on the bench for the year and don't go to the World Cup. But we can't be held to ransom by anybody. I think Liverpool have lost Trent in a very heated situation, and we can't go through that again. So if Konate wants to commit, I'm sure everybody will welcome him at the football club for a few more years. If he wants to leave, so be it. But again, running down a contract to leave for free, Liverpool have to look after our own interests. I was in Dublin yesterday for the All-Ireland semi, said Jason Irish Red, and I left a little tribute outside the Liverpool shop in the ILAC Centre. Lewis Noble said, "Evening, Craig. You're doing the best thing, running the news. We need to get back to normal. Slowly, mate, bit by bit, little by little. Not, fully there yet. Not ready to start really putting out videos. I enjoy these streams because I interact with you and it gives me that connection. I just don't feel in a place yet where I can, record transfer videos and put them out. Just am quite there yet." Greg, thank you, mate. Said, "Love you, Craig. Good to see you back." Anne Navarro said, "Get rid of the pair of them." Look, I don't want to go in on the players because we don't know what's happening with them. All that we know right now is that there's no extension for either of them for whatever reason, whether it be them, whether it be the club, whether it be the agents, whatever it might be. We don't know. But we do know that we have our own business to conduct and that we have to look after our own interests. So if Konate has given his word to Real Madrid, and by the way, I would certainly take with a massive pinch of salt anything that comes out of the computer, the mouth, or the keyboard of Sasha Cavalieri, who I think has had an absolute joke of a window from a journalistic point of view and has been wrong on almost everything that I've seen and piggybacked on other people's stuff. I'm going to need to hear from the club or, somebody on the English side of this if Konate has given that word to Real Madrid. I'm certainly not going to be going in on Ibu yet because it's just media speculation at the minute. But my stance is the same. If he does want to leave, or if anybody wants to leave this football club, I think Liverpool should try to facilitate that in a way that obviously is the best for the football club. And anything after that, look, I just don't think any of us have time for this nonsense anymore. If you don't want to be here, you know where the door is. If you want to be here, we'll continue on playing for the greatest football club on the planet. Craig, just curious if you know anything about Marc Guehi. Honestly, with regards to incomings, mate, I haven't seen anything. I don't think anybody's really there yet to start talking about incomings, but we can't ignore it either, right? Whatever we think, the world's going to move on, the league's going to start, pre-season's going to start from tomorrow, and we do have to start planning and focusing on that. So, yeah, I would assume that we will start to see the wheels get back into motion because, what we do know for a fact now is we've lost Jarell Kwanzaa. He's a Bayer Leverkusen player, and I sincerely wish him the best over there, and if it works out, who knows, we may see Jarell back. But that means that Liverpool need a defender. That's without whatever happens with Konate, whatever happens elsewhere, we need a defender now. So I would assume we're going to see some movement in that direction soon enough. I can't say one way or the other if Liverpool have been keeping communication through this last week or so with anybody. I don't know, mate. I really don't. But, we still need what we need, and that's not going to change. So we have to start putting those wheels in motion. Are we still playing on Sunday, said Crispy Sesh. The truth is, mate, I don't think anybody knows that yet. I watched, I read something in the Echo earlier on that said that it was the plan before what happened with Diogo was that it was going to be shown on ITV, and it was going to be a 3 p.m. kickoff for the weekend. Now, they don't know yet, I don't know yet, and I don't know if anybody does, if the plans there have changed. It might be a fluid situation. And again, I know people are going to say, hang on a minute, the idea of showing the match on TV is disgusting, would have been the first one back. And I agree, but this decision had been in place before the tragic events that happened with Diogo and his brother. So certainly, it's nobody's fault. There's nobody to go in on here. It's just going to be a matter of whether the game goes ahead or not. And truly, we don't know yet. Marcus, how are we, bro? Said, do you think Diogo Jota's passing will affect players that want to come here to Liverpool? No, I don't think so. Look, it's going to be a difficult time for the players coming back, for the new players coming in. It's going to be a strange environment, and it will take time for any form of normality to start to return to the AXA training centre, to the changing room. But no, mate, I don't think it will put anybody off coming, because, when all is said and done, this team is built and is being built to win, and players will certainly want to come and win. These guys have short careers, and I think they'll know Liverpool's in a good position. Michael Dunstan said, totally agree with you, Craig. If players don't want to be here, that they can go, and let's get the right money for them. Yeah, and look, this certainly isn't in reaction to anything that's happened with Diogo and his brother. This is my long-term stance on anybody around Liverpool Football Club. I look at this with very Liverpool tinted specs, of course, because I'm a Liverpool fan, and I think Liverpool's the greatest football club on the planet. And, as a Liverpool fan, I think you should crawl on broken glass to come and play for Liverpool Football Club. You should be tripping over yourself to come and play for the football club. And when you're here, why would you want to leave? Ibrahima Konate, just as an example, I can't understand why he wouldn't want to stay here, if indeed he doesn't. So yeah, I don't really have time for sympathy in these scenarios with players. Don't want to be here, fair enough, but the club has to move on. AD said we definitely need a striker now. Yes, mate, we do. Again, I don't know how that looks, how that works. I don't understand yet what that process is going to look like. I don't think instinctively, and it is instinctively, that we're going to see any change around Darwin Núñez's future, as an example. I think the plan will still be for Darwin to depart. I'm sure the plans have had to be adjusted, obviously, with the tragic events of what happened, but I don't yet know what that looks like. AJ said, Craig, we play against Preston. I was just saying a moment ago, mate, that decision hasn't been made yet, to the best of my understanding. And I certainly wouldn't expect it to be made until Arnott and the players have a meeting tomorrow when they start to return to the AXA and as a group make the decision. I think that's probably going to be the way that moves forward. Jimbo said, give the guys the wages they deserve, offer it to them, and if they don't... Well, you see, Jimbo, this is a very weird sentiment, bud, because who dictates what they deserve? You, me, their agents, the club? So let's talk about Diaz for a second. So 140,000 quid a week is what he's on. That's good enough for me. And he's 2 years to go. So the club aren't in any position where they need to move him on. So the narrative of him not getting paid enough has to go out the window now that we know he's getting in and around £140,000 a week. So the sympathy for me in that regard dries up a bit. And I'll also, again, gloves off, I'm getting a bit of a pain in me hoop listening to Diaz being linked with Bayern and Barca and Saudi and everywhere else when he's under contract and 2 years to go at the club. And I don't like him saying he's speaking with other clubs. It feels to me, as a fan, like he wants to angle for a move away because he's not happy with the situation at Liverpool. But Liverpool, they have 2 years on his deal, and Liverpool need to look after Liverpool. So with regards to Konate, again, it's not like he's on a very poor wage, but Clearly, Liverpool have a number, and I'm not saying that number is right or wrong. I don't know what that number is, but they have a number, and they've given him an offer. And the offer, according to reports, because again, we're not inside this conversation, seems to be one that he would like a higher base salary. And Liverpool's offer, again, based off what we're hearing, is one that his wages go up with regards to triggers, bonuses, add-ons, which is not uncommon for the way our football club is run. I, for what it's worth, have a gut feeling that Edwards and Hughes just think Konate is not going to be the thing that makes or breaks the squad. I don't think they would view him as a Salah, as an Alisson, as a Virgil. So I think Liverpool are kind of relaxed in that regard. Now, the situation that we find ourselves in is still a very difficult one because Konate is going into the last year, and what I don't want as a fan, and Jimbo, this is just my perspective, mate, because that's all I can give you. I don't want another season of reading every week about Madrid being confident. Madrid have the word. Madrid said the player only wants them. I don't want another season of having to look at that week after week like we've just had with Trent in that situation. So I hope Liverpool nip it in the bud and play hardball with Konate. Here's our offer. We're not improving it. If you don't like that offer, that's understandable. That's your prerogative. But we ain't improving it. So we aren't letting you take us for mugs. And we aren't letting you run down your contract and leave for free. And if you want to force that issue, well, then we're going to stick you on the bench for the season. And that World Cup in America, you won't be going to it because Didier Deschamps won't be picking you because you won't be playing. And that sounds really snotty. And that sounds really harsh. But I know where my heart lies in this. And that's always with the club and their best interest. So that's the way I view it. And again, Jimmo, that wasn't me having an attack on you, bro. That was just, my honest view of these situations. AD said we definitely need a striker now, which I agree with, of course. I want shot of Lewis, the rumour mill Diaz. No smoke without fire, said Adrian. I don't even think there's smoke at this point. He came out and said he was speaking to other clubs, and that's normal. No, it isn't. It might be normal behind the scenes, all right, but to come out and say that, I didn't like what I heard there either. But look, I get his perspective. If Lucho wants a new deal and the club aren't forthcoming with one, totally understand his perspective as well. But my interests are looking after the club and what's best for Liverpool. So, just facilitate it if he wants to move away. If Liverpool feel like they can replace him, then I'm sure that they'll listen to the offer. If Liverpool don't, then Luis Diaz will have to sit tight and play for Liverpool Football Club. Rohan said it seems... Rohan, where are we, mate? It seems we need a lot of work to be done on our attack line as well if we're losing Diaz, Chiesa, Darwin and the loss of Jota. What's your thoughts? So, Rohan, my thoughts as a fan would be ideally I'd like Lucho to stay and, be happy to stay. I think we could do with the cover of having Luis Diaz in the squad now. His abilities to play left, right, central. I think that's important to us right now. So I could understand why the club would say not interested when offers come. So that one, I think we have to bring in more attackers at this point. And also the centre-back. So I hope that we do that. Tony, how are you, my man? Thank you. Konate and Diaz have won 2 League Cups, an FA Cup, a League Cup, and only Courtois Masterclass stood in the way of a Champions League. Why would they want to leave? So, look, I genuinely understand if a footballer wants to try something new. I have no problem with that. What I get annoyed about in these situations is the deceptiveness of it all. If you want to go, like if Konate, let's just use him as an example here. If Konate wants to go and play for Real Madrid, then have the balls to come out and say, I want to go and play for Real Madrid. And I want to move to Real Madrid. It's not hard, is it? But this deceptiveness that happens in football, but we're all supposed to believe that people are humming things over like Trent. We're all fed that nonsense and we're supposed to believe it, even though we know it's absolute pony. So that's my stance. If Konate wants to go, then either get on the blower to Madrid and tell them to make an offer this summer that Liverpool deem acceptable, or be prepared to sit tight and get splinters in your backside on the bench. If you want to stay, brilliant. Hash out a deal with the club and sign on for more years. But look, if people want to try something new, that's cool. Some footballers go into their career and think, I want to play in Italy, want to play in Spain, want to play in Germany, want to play in the Premier League. No problem with that. But I just don't like being taken for a mug as a fan. That's my take on it. Where are we at? This one. Diaz is ungrateful after everything Liverpool has done for him. Man has no class or honour. So again, I can't speak to that because I don't know him personally. I can only work off the information that I've seen and that he said. I would very much doubt that the Diaz family are in any way ungrateful for what Liverpool did. I very much believe that they are extremely grateful for that. But I also understand Liverpool's perspective here. He's under contract for 2 more years. We have enough on our plate this summer without having to have another headache. So again, if Liverpool's stance is not for sale, then not for sale. If Liverpool have a number, then it's get one of these clubs that are turning your head to get to that number, or stop wasting everybody's time. What's later 90 said, did you see the Nashville FC celebration yesterday? I didn't, my friend, no. I did see some still images of Raul Jimenez. Beautiful gesture from Raul. And like I said, as there's been many, I just didn't personally see the Nashville one, mate. But anything that pays homage to Diogo or his brother Andre, of course, is very welcomed. Lucho's been huge for us. Let's not go sour. So again, Corey, not having an attack on you here, my friend, but football in this scenario is a transactional business, right? It is. And I don't think anybody's going sour. Maybe some are, mate. Maybe some are, I don't know. But certainly for me, no sourness whatsoever. Just understand that if you do want to move, well, you've got to facilitate a move that will work for Liverpool Football Club. And if you don't, and the club are saying to you and your representatives not for sale, then listen to that. If you're unhappy with it, get that as well, but that's life. You know, you're still getting paid a handsome wage to pay for one of the greatest football clubs on the planet. And if Liverpool's priorities at the moment are a centre-back, a centre-forward, then the club has to go through with their plan. That's the way I look at this. But I don't think anyone's getting sour. Or certainly I'm not getting sour at Lucho. I don't know him. All I know is he's come off the back of a good season. A season where it's one of, if not the best, that he's had for Liverpool Football Club. And those opportunities are going to be there for him again next season. So I don't see why you'd want to move on. But again, I'm sure that people are having agents in their ear or clubs in their ear promising them this, that and the other. The Barcelona links have been on and off now for 2 years. And again, I would dare to say a lot of people are probably fed up of hearing about Barcelona. If Barcelona really wanted him, then Barcelona would put the money on the table and make an offer for him. But they haven't. So we need to look after our own interests. And my heart is always with the football club over any player. Because players will come and go. We'll love them. They'll move on to another club. They'll retire, whatever. But the football club is the constant. So the best interest of that is where my heart always is. David said Madrid want Konate on a free. I can see a world where they do, mate. But from Liverpool's perspective, well, that leaves us with a couple of options. We either carry on playing Ibrahima Konate. And look, I'm going to be honest about this. Trent was able sometimes to compartmentalise the situation with Madrid's interest and play. I don't think Ibrahima Konate is that mentally strong. And I think that's borne out by the mistakes that you see often in his game, where his head seems to be up his backside on occasion. So I wouldn't have the faith and the belief that he can go through a season performing to the very highest levels without any distraction if he thinks that that move's coming. So for me, I would either want Madrid to come in with an offer that maybe is a little bit less than Liverpool would have ideally liked. But if Liverpool view that they trust that they can play Konate through the season, no problem. But I don't want to go through another year of us all pretending that someone's mind isn't in one direction or not. I don't have time for it anymore. I'm sick of people pretending like football isn't a grimy business. Case in point, Arsenal, Arteta, Partey. Let's just rewind and show why football's a greasy, horrible business at times, and a lack of morality shines through. So I was reading something on Sky, and it said Sky Sports reported in April that Arsenal had open talks with Thomas Partey over a new contract. When asked if he wanted Partey to stay ahead of Arsenal's final game of the season, Mikel Arteta said yes. He's a really important player for us. And then, when he leaves and the charges come, Arsenal can't comment. He's no longer an Arsenal player. Fuck you. Sincerely, fuck you. Because that is low. And if we're not able, as a damn society, to call this shit out, then we've lost. We've lost. Because that football club shouldn't want him anywhere near the club, regardless of innocence or guilt. Because it's a fucking distraction. And what message does it send? To the ladies' team, to the dressing room, to the fans. Football clubs are great about preaching at the rest of us about morality. But some clubs, like Liverpool, United, will walk the walk. But others bottle it. And then all of a sudden try to wash their hands of the situation. Fuck you, once again. So, if Arsenal or any of their fans wants to try and start jumping around and casting aspersions at anybody else, look a little bit closer to home. And if you have something to say about that, then maybe we'll talk. But for now, that's disgusting. And nothing is going to get me past that. And nothing is going to move me from that standpoint. It's a fucking disgrace. And we should be able to call that out. We should be able to call out the hypocrisy of money over morality. Fabi Rowler said, Craig, I normally come on and type something to make you chuckle. Innocent until proven guilty, my arse, Anthony. My arse. Because do the people in the dressing room not matter? Nobody's saying he should be locked up, mate. Nobody's saying that. But the feelings of those people in that dressing room and the fans are right. Why couldn't they suspend him on full pay? Nobody's asking for him to be thrown into jail before his trial, mate. But what we are asking is football to send out the right fucking message to the young people watching, to the next generation coming through. And this innocent until proven guilty bullshit is exactly that in my eyes. Nonsense. Grow a pair, mate. Grow a pair. Because is that the message that you want to teach to your daughter or your sister or your friend or your niece or your nephew? Certainly not the one I want to send. That's why I'm proud of my football club. Because it does the right thing. It acts with dignity and class when it needs to. This shouldn't have even been a difficult decision for Arsenal. Shame on them. Sorry, Fabi, to get back to your comment, mate. I normally come on, try to type something to make you chuckle. Tonight, I just want to say thank you for coming on and showing brave face to us all. You're a true man. Here's to the future. It's not easy, mate, but I'm always grateful for your support when I do come on. So yeah, appreciate you. Rodrigo or Diaz, if you had the choice. Ooh. Again, Adrian, I think you probably get bored of me giving you the similar answer, mate, but I normally look to the younger player in these scenarios. And if you brought in Rodrigo, you're getting a talent for a few more years there. So I'd probably come down on the side of Rodrigo. Any news about Isak? No, mate, no. I don't know of anything changing there. As of yet, like I said, there hasn't been there hasn't been much, by way of news in that regard. Obviously, with everything that's been going on, I think everyone's starting to slowly return to some form of normality. But I think you'll probably see in the next few days some more talk about incomings and stuff like that. About Arsenal, do you think that Liverpool would have suspended Partey if they had him because an investigation took 3 years and players can choose whether to terminate the contract? I don't know what Liverpool would have done, but I promise you this, they wouldn't have been renewing him. They wouldn't have been talking about it. They wouldn't have been, my manager wouldn't have openly been coming out and saying, yeah, I want him to stay. He's a really important player. Let's not just wash our hands of any cowardice here. Because that's what that is. Cowardice. Are you worried about Arsenal getting Gyökeres and Zubamendi? Said Lewis. I mean, they're good signings. I'm not going to sit here and say Zubamendi isn't a good piece of business. He's a good footballer, and I'm sure he'll improve that Arsenal midfield. Gyökeres, I mean, again, it's a solid piece of business. I'm not certainly going to demean them signings to say that they're terrible. I wouldn't have had Gyökeres at Liverpool, and I've been on record of saying that for a long time for the reasons I gave. But for Arsenal fans, I could understand why they're upbeat about it. As always, they'll go over the top and make out like they've signed Messi in his prime, but football fans are supposed to do that. Good pieces of business, but does it strike fear into me as an opposition fan? No. Because remember, they're still playing catch up, right? We won the league at a canter last season. So they're still catching up. And do I feel that those signings compared to our signings have pushed them ahead of us? No, I don't. But then again, the window isn't over yet. So let's see what happens. But good pieces of business. To say otherwise it would be foolish of me. But not ones that are, I think, going to transform the club. It'll do them a bit, but look, Arsenal are a good team. There's no one sit here and say they're not. It's always a difficult game when you play against them, but I still think if we do our business, we'll rightly go into next season and be the favourites. But window still to be completed. Dylan said if Liverpool won 2 in a row, I'd be astonished. It'd be incredible. It would be something I've not seen as an adult in my life. And I'd like us to do it, of course. Yeah, I'd love to see Liverpool go back to back in the Premier League. It'd be incredible. But I'm not arrogant enough to say it's a formality, because you've got to earn the right to win a league title, and injuries, a couple of bad games, anything can change. Sorry, let me keep going. Marc said, we should make Jota a statue outside the stadium. Doesn't have to be big. Would be nice to see. Big up to you as well for coming on here at this time. Yeah, look, thank you, Marc. By the way, I think the club will, as they said, immortalise Diogo's number 20. I'm sure it will be done with compassion and with the inclusion of Diogo's family, and their thoughts will, of course, be at the forefront of what Liverpool will do there. But, any suggestions, whether it's a little 20 patch on the shirt for Diogo or on the back of the neck, whether it's, a plaque, a statue, renaming one of the whatever it might be, you're not going to get any argument from me about it, mate. anything that can be done to immortalise and respect Diogo. And one more thing I'd like to say as well, I think on behalf of a lot of people, is to the people that want to come in to a chat or whatever to say, you're a hypocrite, you criticised the player on the pitch or said, I want to sell, and now you're sad, you're a hypocrite. I want to just reply to that because I've seen that a few times. Let me put it like this. If you have a fight with your friend and your friend passes away a few days later, have I got a right to tell you that you've no right to feel sad? Or would I be an idiot for saying that? I think I'd be an idiot for saying that, right? Because nothing is binary. Life isn't binary. Things aren't black and white. There's a whole area in the middle. And if these people who try to belittle the rest of us don't think that we can differentiate between a performance on a football pitch and an overall value of a human being's life and what they gave to this world, then they've got problems. And I can't help you. So please don't try to be clever, because you're not. And there's nothing more dangerous on this planet than an idiot that thinks they're clever. So keep your thoughts to yourself, if that's all you have to say. Because most of us are able to see that life isn't a binary decision. Things aren't black and white. People talk crazy, said Liam. I felt a few weeks ago it may be time to move Jota on. Didn't stop me, been absolutely devastated. Exactly, mate. All of us in our lives have the ability to feel a whole multitude of things, and we don't have any relationship that's binary in any way. We all fall out with our family, we fall out with our friends, we fall out with each other. Doesn't mean we don't care, doesn't mean we don't love each other, doesn't mean that we wouldn't drop everything at the drop of a hat to help this person out if something bad happened. But these people, they don't come on to do anything but belittle. That's their agenda, that's their day. I get up in the morning and I'm going to come on to try to feel morally superior to everybody else, and that's all that they have. They don't contribute anything. Shane, how are we, sir? Evening, everybody. My first time in since the tragic accident. My thoughts are, of course, with the family of Diogo and Andre, their teammates and all Liverpool fans. R.I.P. Diogo and Andre. Class act, Shane. Thank you. Much appreciated, sir. Shane's obviously a Manchester United fan, just in case people didn't know. And many fans like yourself, Shane, from Manchester United, from City, from Arsenal, from everyone, Everton, Chelsea. Class acts. I've seen so many beautiful messages, so many really kind sentiments, and it's certainly appreciated. Will you do a starting 11 score prediction for the game on Sunday? Prediction? No. I never do friendly predictions because it's near on impossible. I have no idea what type of team goes out, and usually you're seeing a lot of changes as well. Sometimes 2 to 3 different sets of 11. So no, won't be doing one, sir. But if the game goes ahead, of course, we'll cover it. Muaz said, Craig, I've seen a video posted by ESPN of Frimpong training. I'm not sure if we signed a right back or a striker. His finishing's phenomenal. I think I've seen the same video. Certainly he looks serious, doesn't he? He looks ready to go, and yeah, it'll be lovely to see him out there on the pitch. Robert Lewis, much love, bro, to you as well. Thank you. Jordan said, still feels weird talking about transfers, but I know it's got to start eventually. Yeah, you're right, mate. It is. But that's why I didn't feel like I could come out today and do a video at 4:30 about transfers. I felt like I still needed to ease my way back into it, because I woke up and I just said to my wife, I can't do that. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to put it out into the world yet. I'm not ready to think so binary, which is why I enjoy the stream, because it gives us a chance to mix things and to, like I said at the very start of the stream, my purpose tonight was to be led by you guys about what you wanted to discuss, where the videos are a bit different. The videos are me kind of just saying, here's a fact and this and that and that and that and that. But this is, I think, more helpful to us where we are right now. What do you think will happen? Who will win the Club World Cup? I think the winner of Real Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain will probably win the Club World Cup. For what it's worth, I think that winner will be Paris Saint-Germain. If they play to the best of their ability, I don't think anybody can live with them. They're a really good team. So yeah, I think the winner of that game will probably win the Club World Cup. But it's been good to see Brazilian sides going as far as they have. Obviously, Al Hilal representing the Saudi Pro League got themselves to the quarters as well. So still don't know where I stand on it. I still think from a player welfare perspective, it's not great. But I'd be a liar if I said at times I haven't welcomed the distraction of tuning into a game or something. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that one. I think probably Paris Saint-Germain. Craig, what's your favourite Diogo Jota moment? So this is where I'll be honest and say my memory is always shocking. I have a memory like a goldfish on certain things. But I'm going to say either the fourth goal in the 4-3 win over Spurs or the winner in the most recent derby against Everton, because what keeps standing out to me about that goal is it was a very archetypal Diogo Jota goal, wasn't it? It had the drop of the shoulder, the little swift movement, sending a defender on the backside, and then even the keeper, just slotting it past the keeper rather than putting the laces through it. It was just a very well-rounded, intelligent finish, which summed up him as a player. Musiala would agree not being good. Anyone player welfare. Yeah, look, I sincerely hope Jamal Musiala gets back playing football as soon as he can. I think somewhere between 4 and 5 months for the broken leg from what I've seen. An incredible footballer. It's a joy to watch the likes of Jamal Musiala play the game. So, yeah, sincerely hope Jamal's back playing as soon as possible. Yeah, and certainly a big loss for the start of the season for Bayern Munich. I often at times think, can you imagine if they have gotten Wirtz and you had Wirtz and Musiala? It'd be almost like a cheat code. So I think for the balance of European football, it's good that we stop that happening. Nasser said, Craig, when do you think Liverpool will start their transfer business again? It's a really tough question to answer, isn't it? We're in really uncharted territory at the minute. To some extent, I wonder, has it never stopped, if you get me? Because I don't know how close... Like, here's something, just as an example. The situation with Georgi Marmadashvili. We knew that Georgie was on a plane to come over to start to do his unveiling. And we haven't seen that yet. So there's things like that I think have to happen as well. But when, I'm glad I'm not in the position to make these very sensitive decisions because it's a very difficult situation. But I have to say, for all my criticisms, I have zero fault with how the club have dealt with this whole situation. I think they've acted tremendously. I think they've done us all proud. And I just would sincerely like to say on behalf of all of us, well done to the club. They never let us down in that regard. They always act with class, dignity and respect. Joseph, how are we, dude? And sending you so much love, my man. I remember the moment my first child was born, my daughter. I remember feeling unbelievable love and fear in equal measure at the same time. But I wish you nothing but the very best to both you and your partner. And thank you for sharing. It's always good to hear some good news. So sending you both love, Joseph, and yeah, get your sleep in now, fella. Get your sleep in now. Hard to comprehend. Jota passed away 4 days ago, and we're here talking about transfers. I understand life must go on, but it's hard to accept reality. absolutely understand, Dale. Like I've said, and actually it wasn't me, it was a member of our community said it yesterday, so I've kind of just ran with this idea. But to people who aren't ready to come back in or to start talking about it, there's no judgment from any of us. We're here when you are ready. And, you know, I think that person put that as well as I could have hoped to. So that's kind of where we're at. If you're not ready, I understand that, mate. There's never any judgment from us in that regard. But we are all here when people are ready to come back in. Tanya said, I think you being back is helping others. I hope to some small extent, Tanya, it is. I certainly know that the couple of streams on the Thursday night and yesterday helped me understand things a little bit better. So yeah, thank you for that sentiment. And again, like I always say, it's a two-way street. You guys have helped me incredibly over the past while. So I'm gonna just do a poll now on Diaz because I want to just get a perspective of where your heads are at, because, you know, like I always say this, but everything that we do here, of course, I'll have an opinion on something, but I wanted to represent your views. So I wanted to just get your thoughts on where you think we're at with the Diaz situation. So just bear with me for 1 second. Right, so what I'm going to just ask, if it's okay, is do you think that Diaz wants to leave this summer? I think that's just the most simple way I can put this question. And then we'll see, but we'll go from there. JJ9 said, struggling. I criticised Diogo so many times last season and I feel bad about it now. I'd give anything to see him one more time. I certainly feel, JJ9, that you are far from on your own, my friend. I mean, we've been speaking about this in our Discord group and I've been speaking to friends about it. It doesn't reflect anything on you, mate. You know, we give these sincere opinions in the moment based off the information in front of us. We can't then reflect on that and change history. We didn't know what was coming. Nobody did. But it's how you react to these situations, I think, that speaks to the measure of you as a person. And the fact that you're reflecting on this and the fact that you feel any remorse about it, I think speaks to your character, sir. I don't know you, but I would say to you, you gave an honest opinion. Nobody here is going to judge you for that. There are times where I certainly said I would move him on, you know, but that doesn't deflect or take away from your admiration for Diogo or for him. It's just, again, we're looking to see about improving down the line and in the future, and we can only call things as we see them in front of us at the minute. So please don't beat yourself up about it, mate. There's no good can come of that for you, bro. I promise you. Do you have a favourite of the new kits for next season? A poll. Yeah, we can do that in a bit, if that's okay. Just give me a reminder, mate. For me, you know, to answer your question, it's the green one. I think the green kit it's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. You know, I'll bring them up on screen now just in case people haven't seen them. But for me, as you can see there, the green on the far right, I'm in love with that shirt. Honestly, that's incredible. So my plan would be to get the Champions League badges on that one, and then on the red one to go with the gold Premier League badge and that. So yeah, for me, the green and the red are two that I think are absolutely incredible. The white one, you know, I'm a chunky butt, so white doesn't look great on me. Not thin enough to carry off a white top, so yeah, I'll be going for the red and the green one. Liam said, is the middle one a bit Man U-ish? It kind of is, but also, to be fair, if you look back over our time, I don't know if it was 09, there is a jersey that's very similar to that we did have. I like to call it the Andre Desena. Oh no, that was the grey one, sorry. There is one that goes back that we did have around that time, John Joe Shelby, I believe, or if my memory's right, that's similar. But yeah, my initial thought is, you're right, it is a bit United-ish. El Harvo said, am I the only one who finds it more distasteful that he was partying it up on the day of Jota's funeral? See, I don't know if that was... I don't know if that's an old video. I don't know is the honest answer. But I also wouldn't judge anybody for how they deal or react to anything. So, let's just put ourselves in the shoes for just a moment. For all I know, this could have been a celebration. It could have been a family something. It could have been anything. And I'm a person that views a celebration of life when someone passes. Now, again, I'm not saying that this was right or wrong. It's not for me to judge. But I know I've done and felt some very probably incorrect things when grieving, whether it be wanting to break the ice with a joke in a situation or something. So I'm not going to judge anybody else for how they deal with any trauma in life. Daniel said, hi Craig, been a rough week for me and my family. Well, I'm really sorry to hear that, Daniel. So happy to have you in this community. You all mean more to me than you could ever know. Thank you. I've taken great strength from the people who've reached out to me over the last week as well. I didn't think that this would have hit me the way it did. I didn't. I never thought that somebody I don't have a personal relationship with passing would impact me in this way. But as I've processed it, and like I've said before, we live, certainly I do, through these guys. Their achievements are our achievements. Their successes are our successes. Their pain is our pain. So it is a weird emotional state being a football fan. We don't know these heroes that go out onto the pitch. We don't know them, but we feel like they're one of us and we're one of them and we're a part of each other and we're on this tribal journey together. But thank you for your kind words, mate. It really helps. Right. Lee said, didn't realise Diogo needed an operation on a collapsed lung at the end of the season. Probably the reason he couldn't press when he came back. Yeah, I obviously knew he had the knock. Didn't realise, I think it was the lower part of one of his lungs had collapsed from reading through what the doctor had said. Yeah, it certainly explains a lot, like you said, Lee, and the fact that he was playing on through that speaks to the character of the man as well. It's always a tricky one, these situations, like I said the other night, because medical information is very private information that a club can't just come out and disclose. So it's not surprising that we didn't know about it. But it's also not surprising when you find out about it that it connects a few dots to the level of performance. Brian said, when my granddad passed away, his wake was like a New Year's Eve party the way he wanted it. I'll be the very same, Brian, for what it's worth, mate. I'll always want people to celebrate as well. Yeah, I can understand your granddad's thoughts there, mate. Julie said, only our club could do this by bringing everybody together through pain, and to have you help us, I'll never forget it. It's been such a comfort. Thank you. Please never feel the need to thank me for anything. It's like, I know this sounds corny and cheesy, but I can only be honest about it. It's been the honour of my life to be here, to have this community, to have been a part of its foundation, to be representing us. It's a pleasure, and I'm incredibly honoured and humbled to be here and have the support of some amazing people. Simon said, Craig, just wondering, would you keep Elliott in place of Diaz as he can play across the front three? No, I don't think I would. Look, I could be selfish, and I'm not saying you're selfish, but I mean, you could be selfish and go, right, keep everyone because we need to make sure we've got options for A, B, C, D, and E. But you also have to think about the player. And whatever way we want to talk about his future, I can't see a world where he gets enough games. And a young kid like Harvey, well, I say a young man, should be playing. And he's good enough to play. But I just don't think we have the ability to offer him the game time that he probably deserves. So I think a move away would be the best outcome. And again, just reading his body language at the end of the season, it certainly feels like that's the direction we're headed here. But it'll be interesting to see if those reports are correct, that Liverpool want £40 million with a buyback option or £50 million without. One thing today, actually, while we're talking about the forward situation, Callum Wilson had announced that he is certainly departing after his contract had ended Newcastle. We also seen today that Galatasaray are getting closer, or Florian Plettenberg said an agreement between Galatasaray and Napoli regarding the permanent transfer of Victor Osimhen is now very close. Galatasaray's feeling with George Gardy, who is an intermediary, is that a permanent move will be finalised in the next few days. So, Newcastle are certainly going to be looking for another attacker as well, which I would say would seriously dent any ambitions we have to try to sign Alexander Isak. They missed out, obviously, on João Pedro as well, who they'd looked at. He ended up going to Chelsea. Would I take Callum Wilson? No, I wouldn't, mate. He's a decent player, but no, I don't think he's good enough to play for us. Just Jack said we really need Guehi, a striker and a left winger. I don't disagree, mate. The only one of these decisions that I really have uncertainty about is the striker situation because of the availability of the position. So if we could knock Victor Osimhen off the list now, well, then we're down to what? A really, really unlikely Isak. We look again at Hugo Ekitike, and that's certainly an option. Do you look at Benjamin Šeško as an example? I have no idea. So I don't know where Liverpool's head's at with that. Before or after the tragic loss of Diogo, I haven't got a clue. But I don't disagree with what you've said about what we need. Dylan said Rio's having an impact on forward signing selection. I would certainly think you're not far wrong. Young Rio has been very highly spoken of. There's always rumours that he's been putting people to shame in training with some of his tricks and his ability, which you hope is right because the talent is there. But is he there just yet? Really tough calls to make for some situations because you've got really promising young players there like Rio. You've got the likes of McConnell. You've got Trey Morris-Nyoni. You've got good young players, but are they there? Is now the time? Which is why I think pre-season for the likes of Rio will be really interesting. If he goes and plays in a few friendlies and looks the business, does Arne want to keep him around? Well, if I'm Arne, I'd want to be the one moulding his career and season because you're doing it to implement him into our team. So, yeah, good shout. And I don't think you're too far wrong, Dylan. With the connection to Leipzig, said Tony, with Klopp and maybe Šeško, or are we still got our boy Dan's? So, look, here's where I am with Dan's. No doubt on his ability, but you can't go into a season unless there's medical evidence to the contrary. I don't think you can go into a season banking on a player who's had some injury concerns going through the season without an injury. I think it's a risk. It's too big a risk. So keep him around by all accounts, but I don't know if I'd be putting the brunt of the forward line on his shoulders yet. I don't know if you can make that call. Was I ever a fan of Roy Evans as manager? Absolutely. Absolutely, mate. We played really good football under Roy Evans. Probably a bit too attack-based at times, but certainly, Yeah, I was. I thought that the time with Roy Evans before Gerrard came in as well. I think Gerrard Houllier. I mean, we yeah, we did some good play, some good football. Right, let's check in on the poll. So we're gonna let it get up to 2,000 votes as we always do. If you haven't voted, please do. Sorry. The question is: do you think Diaz wants to leave Liverpool Football Club this summer? So far, it's pretty one-sided, but of course, we'd love your opinion on it as well. Quick update on the Cork show. We're going to cancel it, so please don't go get tickets. As we said, honestly, just isn't selling, which I have no issues with, but want to make a decision early because obviously I don't want people making plans. So that's not going to go ahead. Our last and our only remaining show will be the one in Liverpool, the weekend of the Manchester United game. This one here, at the Hot Water Comedy Club, 19th of October. That is going to be our one and only remaining show. If you'd like to come and see us there, it's an all ages event. And again, I just want to let you guys know about that because, well, I need to let you know. Fire Velocity Films. Texan Liverpool fan here. Just got engaged and on a trip Germany and saw the Jota news. Broke my heart. Thank you for bringing us together as a community. Well, firstly, congratulations, my friend, on your engagement, and I hope your trip to Germany is going well. Embarrassed to say I haven't been to Germany yet, which is kind of incomprehensible considering I love to travel and Germany has a lot to offer. But thank you for your kind words and for dropping in, and sincerely all the best in your future relationship and life, my friend. Harry said we should bring in Rodrigo. Oh mate, do you know what? I'd be a liar if I said to you that I haven't teased myself with that possibility at some point. I just I can't imagine that Liverpool will give Real Madrid a load of money now, but I wouldn't say no to Rodrigo, especially with Arsenal looking like they're going to move for your man from Chelsea, Madueke. Yeah, I wouldn't say no if the possibility was there. Any news on Ekitike, said Loro03. So no, but my view on Ekitike has always been that I think it's pretty clear he'd like to come to Liverpool. And the reason I say that is he's had options. We know Chelsea have been in there. We know others have looked at him. But he's holding off. And I can only imagine he's holding off for just to wait and see how the lay of the land is. Now, if we look at it right now, Arsenal are making a move towards bringing in a striker. Newcastle are going to have to go into the market for a striker because of the Callum Wilson situation. Manchester United still need to bring in a striker. So he's probably right to not make any committal one way or the other yet, be it to Frankfurt or be it another club, because I think that's going to be a late part of the window for Liverpool to make that decision. I think that we're waiting obviously to see what happens with Darwin, and on top of that, I think we're just observing the market to see how things go. And I think he wants to make sure that if he does make a commitment, that it will be after Liverpool have made their decision one way or the other. It's just how I read that, but again, don't take it as a fact. I seen my mate sent me something earlier on, and I almost fell off the chair. And it basically the link here, which is why, ladies and gentlemen, you shouldn't be on Facebook, to say that Liverpool are interested in signing Marcus Rashford, and there isn't even one iota of me that believes there's any truth in that. Yeah, just no. So I don't know how people come up with this nonsense, but there's no world and chance in hell that there's any truth to that. Alan said Newcastle got Elanga. Did they? I haven't seen the transfer market today much, mate. They've been certainly after Elanga for a while, right? Good player. Certainly improved when he went to Forest after leaving United. good signing. But what does that mean for the availability of some of their players? Like, does that mean I'm going to have to pull out the Anthony Gordon card and start, discussing that? What, if you don't mind me asking, was there a price mentioned for the, just out of curiosity, for the Elanga Newcastle stuff? Would I take Endrick? Seems to be at a favourite Madrid. So honestly, I'd rather just avoid Madrid at all costs, where possible. 55 mil. Okay, thank you. Look, they need it. They need the options. I think Newcastle will have learned a lot from their last Champions League campaign, where I think over the course of the season it negatively impacted them because playing that twice a week was something that they weren't used to. So bringing in the likes of Anthony Elanga will give them more firepower. Good piece of business, and I think Newcastle fans will very much like Elanga as well. I don't know. Feels a bit overpriced if I'm being honest, but sometimes you just got to pay what you got to pay, right? If you want a particular player. Joshua said Diaz value easily at 90 million. Yeah, it's a tough one, mate. I don't know what his value's at. I know what Liverpool think his value's at, and if Liverpool get the number they're asking for, fair play. But I don't know. If I was to value Luis Diaz, I'd probably say £75 million is probably what I think he's worth. But I also think if I seen Liverpool bringing in Luis Diaz at this age for the price that we're asking, I'd probably have questions about it and think it's an awful lot for somebody with not enough output. So, yeah, it's why I've been relaxed about whatever happens with Diaz, stays or goes. I don't think, I look at the spine of the team and I think there are some people who are untouchable and some people who we simply can't lose at any cost. And that was Mohamed, that was Virgil, that was Alisson, that's McAllister, Gravenberch. So once that spine of the team is intact, I'm usually quite okay with fluctuations in certain players. Like, I still don't think he's gotten to the levels of a Sadio Mane. So, in that regard, I think it's, not fully all the way yet with Diaz. Andrew, how are we, my friend? Said, hi, Craig, thanks for the stream tonight. Do we go for Gordon as Newcastle as agreed a fee for Anthony Elanga? Look, I don't know whether Liverpool go back in for Anthony Gordon or not, but it doesn't take a lot to get to where you think it's possible, right? Because we know it was close last year. We know there's clearly a fondness there from both sides. But what we don't know is what Liverpool are thinking in that regard this summer. So there was a report, let's say a month ago, that said that Arne Slot was looking for a utility player with pace that can play right across the front line. And if that's the case, does Gordon fit that mould? Maybe, maybe not. Stuart said, LFC are deliberately pricing Diaz out of a move. Neither Bayern or Barcelona will pay 75 million. Maybe Saudi would, but he doesn't want to go. Maybe. But that's their prerogative. If they think that that's what it's going to take to tempt them into doing business, then that's what it's going to take. So that's why I said I'm easy on it. I'd like Diaz to stay. I like Diaz as a player, but I'm not going to lose any sleep if he doesn't stay. If he moves on, I'll welcome in the next person. Sorry, Danny, mate. I did miss your super chat, my friend. Sorry, let me bring it up for you here now. My apologies, mate. You said every time we're chasing a goal, I had one answer. Just bring Jota on. Just bring Jota on. I mean, I think you're spot on. I think we've all had those words come out of our mouths, mate, when we're chasing a game. I think it was even on, if my memory's right, one of the cards that were left with a bunch of flowers. You're right. And it happened, and he did. Right, we're nearly there. We're up to about 1,800 votes. So if you haven't, we need about 200 more. Do you think Luis Diaz wants to leave this summer? Craig, how badly do you think Liverpool need a CDM and a centre back? I would like to have them before the pre-season games. I'm not really sure where we stand on the defensive midfielder position, because I don't know what Arna's thinking is. I don't know if Stefan will be ready for pre-season. I don't know if Arna thinks Stefan's the answer. There's James McConnell to think about as well. I expect Tyler Morton will depart this summer. If I'm being selfish about it, would I be upset if we signed like an Angelo Stiller or somebody? No. But equally, we mentioned at the start of the stream about not blocking the pathway through. So it is a bit of a tough one, because what I will say is I think we got lucky last season that Ryan Gravenberch didn't pick up a knock, because I think he was overplayed. So to keep him at his best and to keep longevity with his career, certainly do think, some of the weight needs to be taken off there. And you could say play Endo, but you're playing a different player in a different way. I don't think Endo can play and is as press resistant as a Ryan Gravenberch, but he's a very good ball winner and he's very good at pressing high up the pitch. So again, different attributes, and I think you have to change your style of play a little bit. So I don't think it's as simple as just switching one in and one out. So I think that's one position I'm not sure of. Yeah, centre back, 100%, mate. Right now we need one, and there's a very good argument we could do with two. So here's where I'm at. If Konate isn't going to sign a new deal, then I don't want to see him on the pitch. I just don't. I'm sorry. I'm not saying you have to agree with me, but I don't. So I would like Liverpool to plan for the future now. And if that plan is to bring in Marc Guehi and, let's say, Joel Haddo, and have Joel Haddo, Marc Guehi, Virgil van Dijk, and Joe Gomez as the real playing options for next season, then I think we need to go and do that, and then let Konate sort out a situation. Abdullah said, by Cecic hopes Belden Wright could work as well in the DM role as Jones. The problem with him, though, is that he had that operation at the end of the season, and I don't know if he'll be ready to start and get a full pre-season in. I hope he is, but I don't know the answer yet as of whether he is or not. Lazy goalkeeper, how are we, my friend? Said, hope you're well, Craig. Thanks for being here for us. Thank you, mate. It's I appreciate the sentiment. Thank you, and for your support as well. Right, one quick thing, if you can, do hit that like button for me, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you. Chris said, hey Craig, forgive me if this was brought up, but did you discuss the controversy with Diaz not attending the funeral? I have to admit I'm frustrated about it, but not sure if it's sure or not yet. We brought it up a little bit, mate. I, like you, don't know the ins and outs of it. And look, I don't judge anybody for these things. Like, I don't like going to funerals. Personally, I don't. I hate it. I think I can count on one hand the amount of times I've been to the graveyard after my parents died. It's not me. I just don't get it. So I'm not going to judge anybody else that did or didn't go. That's just my take on it. Same way, like the Salah situation, sometimes as well, people have their own reasoning. Maybe some people, like the likes of a Cristiano or a Mo, wouldn't want to take away or, have attention drawn away from the situation with them there. So I don't know. I'm not going to judge anybody for how they personally deal with it. Brad said, hey Craig, just checking in and seeing how you are. Do you think Dan's will go on loan again or stay? I think it's too early to say. I would imagine Ireland's going to want to have a look at him in pre-season. I know I certainly want to have a look at him playing in pre-season as well, but don't know what happens after that, because I don't know what happens with us in the market now. Right, nearly there. 5 more votes, so we are there. Thank you. So we asked, do you think Diaz wants to leave this summer? We've had the 2,000 votes, and 75% of people that voted think yes, he does want to depart. So 1,500 people out of the 2,000 people that voted there think he does want to leave this summer. So now I guess the next question is, if he wants to leave the club, what should Liverpool do? And I guess the clear answer is facilitate a sale, but of course that means a couple of things. It means we then have to go out there and find a replacement. And I don't know what Liverpool's pecking order is for positions but that they feel that we need to replace now. Centre back, it's very clear we need to get a centre back now because we've sold one. So we need to bring somebody in a centre back. If we were to lose a winger and we were to lose Chiesa, and we were to lose Darwin, it's leaving us a lot of work to do as well at the other end of the pitch, isn't it? But if a player doesn't want to be here, then yeah, sell. So it's one position that I think there's not exactly a lack of options in world football at the minute. Like, we're all talking about strikers and how difficult it is to find a striker. I don't think it's that way with regards to wide players. So again, let's go back to a couple of the reports tonight, and I'll read them out to you as they are. So Christian Falk has said Luis Diaz has informed Bayern Munich he wants to move to the Bundesliga. Florian Plettenberg said FC Bayern are not giving up on Luis Diaz. Max Erbel remains on the case but is also assessing other options. Any agreement between Diaz and Bayern is denied by all sides. Last week, Erbel made a call to Liverpool. It was an informal inquiry, not an offer. See, that in itself is just horseshit. It's an informal inquiry. Well, it isn't. You're ringing up to ask if a player's available. Pretty goddamn formal, if you ask me. You're not ringing up and saying, you know, how's Luis Diaz? Oh, we don't want him, right? And I was just wondering how he was. Was he all right? How's he getting on? This thing's making me laugh. Of course, if you're ringing up inquiring about the availability of a player, it's formal. You know, you're not ringing up for no reason. Just because they were told to go and, you know, feck off doesn't mean that it wasn't formal. They clearly want them. He goes on to say Bayern remain in contact with the players' camp. More clubs keen on Diaz. There are, but, you know, Liverpool will make their decision. I've seen something in the Echo that said Andre Villas-Boas admits Porto were looking to re-sign Diogo Jota from Liverpool before his tragic passing. The gist of it was that the move, according to Andre Villas-Boas, was being lined up for next season. That he would have been one more season at Liverpool, and then the plan was 26-27 for Jota to have rejoined Porto. And the only reason I bring that up is because it maybe gives us a glimpse into Liverpool's thinking of the process. So if it was going to be a Darwin sale this summer, then obviously Liverpool didn't want too much change in that centre-forward position, and they were going to have to stagger it over a couple of seasons, with obviously keeping one around. So that's why I'm bringing it up, because I just don't know if that changes anything. Coaxy said, thanks for the support stream, Craig. Jota was my idol and I was lucky to meet him. I was in awe with no reaction. He took control of the situation and made sure that the moment was special. So I was watching Sky the other day, and I can't remember what journalist it was. Maybe it was Marc Ogden. I can't remember. And they said that he was on the plane back from the Nations League final, and Diogo Jota was on the same plane. And he said he took pictures and spoke and interacted with everybody that asked and came up to him, and it just again speaks to the fella. So what you're saying when your interaction with him kind of feels that speaks to why we're all here tonight, paying homage to him because he was a good fella. And thank you, mate. Appreciate you. Ryan said, "Hey Craig, hope you're well. Just realised what a tough job Hughes and Edwards have got now. Don't think we can sell Diaz as our attack feels depleted." I totally understand that perspective. Chiesa obviously looks like he'll probably depart. Don't know if anything new has come up in that regard. Roma were mentioned. So there's already a space, obviously, that tragically needs to be filled centrally. If we lose Chiesa, that's another one. If we sell Darwin, that's another one. And then, yeah, you're looking at a very big rebuild. Now, what I would say is I'd be comfortable if young Rio was given the Chiesa role, because we didn't exactly rely too much on that role last season. So I'd be okay if he was brought in to take that spot. But I still do think then we'd need at least 2 more additions. Andy said, "Hey Craig, I was in the Liverpool shop in the Ilac Centre." That's in Dublin, by the way, for anybody wondering. Got myself a red jersey with Diogo number 20 on the back. Just thought it was a nice way of remembering him. It is, mate. It's a very nice way. Just sitting here right now, I've got Diogo 20, a signed frame shirt on my wall that I've had for quite a long time. And it's going nowhere. It's staying exactly there on the wall so I can remember. So yeah, lovely sentiment, bro. Joe said, "I think we should keep Fede. Who else do we have as a Salah backup?" See, I understand the sentiment of where you're going, mate, but he's not much good as a backup if the manager doesn't want to use him as a backup. Do you get me? But again, selfishly, I agree with you. I would have liked to have seen more of him last year as well. I think we all would. But just like with Harvey, there's no point in us hoarding players if the manager really doesn't feel like they fit the system, and if it comes down to it that they look to that bench and don't feel like we have the difference maker that they'd want there. So I think it's probably best to cut ties and move on, unless there's a change of heart from Arna on the willingness to utilise the Fede. Crindle said 3-4-3, a possible formation next season. Not a fucking hope in hell are we playing 3-4-3. Mate, we don't have anywhere near enough centre backs to play 3-4-3. Right now we're talking about having 3. That's all we have. And one of them wants out by the sounds of it. We just don't have the bodies. If you're going to play that, you're going to have at least 5-6 centre backs at the club, and we don't have anywhere near that. So I don't see a change of formation. I think you're going to see some variation of the 4-3-3 again, whether it's 4-1-2-3 or some change like that. I don't know, but we just don't have the personnel. We'd have to go out there and sign 3 centre backs in this window to play that. We won't. Again, that wasn't. Excuse the language in the response, but there's no plausible way we can do that. Itachi said, "Thanks for bringing back a little normality. Diogo's pass will make us even stronger as a community. After all, I'm still looking forward to the season." I'm very much looking forward to the distraction of it all as well, to be honest. Yeah, new kit poll. Thank you for reminding me, bro. I did promise you I'd bring that one up. So 1 second, let me just get that poll sorted out. Thank you for reminding me. Let me just type this out. Okay. Okay. Right, so before I put it up, I guess I wanted to show you the jerseys again, just in case anybody's coming in late and hasn't seen them. So this is the 3 jerseys we're speaking about in this poll. We believe that these are very close or are the Liverpool shirts. So red, white and green. So the question is, pick your favourite new kit for the season. Red, white, green, or do not like any. Because again, got to give people an option who maybe don't like them all. So there we go. See which one you guys think is the best one or the one that you're looking forward to getting. You type in the keyboard like me. The problem I have typing is my microphone blocks half my keyboard. So when I'm trying to type, my big fat arm is going over and under the keyboard trying to get there. I'm not that bad. I'm not great, but I'm not that bad. It's just the microphone's kind of in the way when I'm trying to do it. Somebody said 4-2-2-2. Absolutely possible, mate. Especially with the arrival of Wirtz. That 4-2-2-2 that you've spoken about, more than possible. Martin Petrov said, the way I see it, Diogo's passing will either motivate the squad to play well or demoralise them. Think about the dip when Klopp left. This is worse. So I think you've probably gone the wrong way with how the Klopp situation went. If anything, I think the Klopp situation brought about a winning run that was kind of almost unexpected, and then obviously fell off with exhaustion and injuries. So I think that actually had a good impact initially anyway, because it was due for Jurgen in his last season. And I expect, knowing the calibre of the people in that dressing room, that it will be harness it, use it in a good way as a way to have a good season, a productive season, and to dedicate something at the end of it. That's certainly the way I'm thinking. So any news on Guehi? Not that I'm aware of. I think you're going to see in the next few days the news around that type of stuff to start to come out a bit more. I think everybody's just being respectful at this point. And I think the players coming back in tomorrow, you'll probably see things to start moving in transfer circles. Do you think the club might show strength in this time and ends the window with big plays to motivate them? I think the plan is whatever the plan was, you know. Whether there's a change, obviously, in the central position, who knows? But I think Liverpool know what they need to do in this window, and they'll go to do it. And we were certainly told that this isn't the end of Liverpool's spending, and to expect both a mixture of outgoings and some big signings as well. Let me just read something out that was sent to me. So this came in from DiMarzio. Said, Napoli are working to sign the new striker and are in talks with Udinese for Lorenzo Luca, offering around 33 to 34 million euro plus bonuses. At the same time, the club interested in Liverpool's Darwin Núñez, having submitted a 50 plus 5 million euro with a proposed salary of 5 to 6 million euro. Núñez would cost nearly twice as much as Luca, so the final decision rests with Aurelio De Laurentiis, the president. Not really anything new to say there. We've known that it was those two were the options for Napoli. We've also known that Napoli didn't get to a price that Liverpool felt they were willing to do business at. So I don't think anything's really changed there. Of course, Napoli will want Liverpool and the world to know they have other options out there, and absolutely that's true, but it doesn't really change anything, does it? If they want Darwin Núñez, then they've got to pay what Liverpool will accept. Craig, sorry for you mentioning, do you think there's a chance certain players stay now after the loss of Diogo? I really wouldn't know how to go about guessing, but as a fan, I'll say this. It doesn't change. If you're talking about the striker situation, to me, it doesn't change the fact Darwin isn't good enough. Nothing's going to change that in my mind. He's had long enough. And again, that's before I get into the stuff about the accusations towards the club of why he wasn't being played. So for me, I'm expecting that he leaves. Frankie, thank you, my man. Said it's going to be a strange season, but we'll give the players a different reason to win it all. I would certainly imagine that the sentiment in the dressing will be to create something special and give it their best in memory, of course, of the Hugo, and because they're professionals who want to win as well. James said, how are you, Craig? How many more transfers do you see us completing before the window closes? Really tough one to answer because, of course, some of this business may be dependent on outgoing. So for me, if we don't go in with at least one more centre-back and an attacking option, whether it's wide or through the centre, I'd be worried. So that's minimum what we need. If players move on, then maybe you need one or two more. But certainly I think defence and attack are where my head's at. Midfield, I'm not really too concerned about one way or the other. I think we've got enough in there. So yeah, two forwards maybe of some variety and a centre-back maybe two. Do you think Gomez will go? No, I get the feeling he's staying at him. And certainly, I think if I'm Joe Gomez, I'm feeling like there's more game time there for me with Konate's situation being up in the air and Kwanzaa having left. You can certainly make a convincing argument to Joe that now that he's back fit, the games are there for him, because they will be. You know, Joe's a good defender, so I've no doubt he'll get 30, 40 games a season across all competitions if he stays around. And I think he will. Naturalist said, thank you for your effort in doing the stream. Can see how the whole situation has taken its toll on you. Hope this will bring us back to normality. So, Naturalist, every time you do a live stream, it's a nervy situation. At the best of times. Because, of course, you don't want to say anything that gets you in trouble. You don't want to have a slip of the tongue. You don't want to say anything wrong. And if you add into that the complexities of trying to muddle through what is an unprecedented situation for all of us, I'd be a liar if I said that these last few streams haven't taken a lot more out of me mentally than normally. They have. It's been really difficult to come on and to talk because, you know, trying to strike a balance between sincerity, respectfulness, and honesty of certain opinions. It's been tough, you know, like the Arsenal stuff at the start of the stream. I can't hide away from that because it really boils my blood. That football is greasy like that at times. Yeah, it has definitely taken its toll, but it's my role. It's what I'm here for, and I'm very grateful to have it. Peter, I don't know how to go about answering that question, mate. I mean, I can't answer it, sorry. Be fitting if we got a Gomez goal this season. It'd be amazing, yeah. It just feels like he has to score, right? He has to, Joe. He has to get that goal. Any update on Bajcetic situation? I don't know. I think we'll obviously get a look in the next few days to see who's back training. I don't know if he's ready to start a full preseason program yet after the operation on his hamstring. It was thought it was going to be close, so I hope we see him, but I don't know yet. Maybe he'll have a personal program that will be partly inside, partly outside. Mr. Hates and Friends, we're all here for you, Craig, and each other. I know, mate. It's been a great help having you guys checking in on me via email and messages and whatnot. But you know, I only brought the situation up because somebody asked me, said to see it's taken its toll. It has. And And normally I'd have Connor to bounce these things off, but I've really struggled with that because he's been on vacation and I don't want to burden him with some stuff. So it's been really tough over the past few days not being able to have my outlet to discuss this stuff with. So yeah, it's been tough, but what can you do? You move on. You try and put your best foot forward, and one day at a time. Ash said, do you think we'll start pushing the Isak situation scene, as now we likely need to? So I said this earlier on in my Discord group. I've joined some weird dots in my head about Isak, and it's not something I want to say out loud because it might come across as very blunt or insensitive. So in my head, there's a scenario where I think it becomes a bit more possible. Yeah, I feel insensitive saying joining the dots out loud. When does pre-season start again? Tomorrow. It was supposed to be Friday. Players was to start coming back in. So that was pushed back, and now the players are going to start returning to the action from tomorrow. David said we won't judge you. It's not that dark. So in my mind, I wondered, does Isak look at this and think anything is possible around the corner? Life's short. And I wondered, does that then make you think, I've got to push it even more now because I get one career, I get one life. So do I try to make the most of that now and push the situation a bit further? Do I, kick up a bit of a fuss to leave the club, Newcastle, in this scenario? So in my mind, I'm just trying to put myself in his shoes and think, do I think, who knows what life has in store for us? So let's live in that here and now and push to try and get the big move. Hope that makes sense as best as I could. Joe, big hugs, Craig. You've helped us all. Love you. Thank you, mate. And you've all helped me in return. A Jota tribute in your image background would be nice. Yeah, it'll absolutely be forthcoming. As I mentioned, Connor does that side of things, and I've been respecting the fact he's on vacation. He's back today, so we'll be starting work again tomorrow, and I'm sure that'll be one of the first things we discuss. Over the past few months, your streams have helped me keep going. Thank you, Simon. I don't look at this as just football chat when I come on. I look at this as, me chatting with my mates. Yeah, and I love our tangents, when people come in and go, why are we talking about food, or why are we talking about films or music? Yeah. Vacation, do you mean hollybobs? So I kind of pulled myself up on that earlier on, Barry. I have started to use the word vacation a lot more in recent times, and of course, on this side of the pond, we say holidays or jollybobs or jollies. And I've noticed, weirdly that you mentioned it, mate, I've noticed that I've been saying the word vacation a bit more lately. Even in emails to our accountants or whatever, I've been using the word, and yeah, it's funny you mention it. Jack, how are you, mate? So, Craig, I don't want to be insensitive here. I'm wondering, does the club receive insurance or anything? Look, mate, I think that's a question that many of us have asked internally or out loud. So I don't think you're being insensitive. I think it's a perfectly understandable question. I would imagine yes. And again, I don't know for certain, but I'm thinking of when players go away with international teams in play. I know if they get injured, that FIFA have insurance policies that pay out to clubs. So I can only imagine that there would be some type of insurance of some variety, but to tell you I know it for a fact, I don't. Breaking Napoli of tables. It's not breaking. It's not even fucking nearly new news. Napoli have put the offer forward before and they were told no. Unless they just wanted to put the same offer back for a second time, I don't think it's anything breaking, mate. Napoli know what Liverpool want for Darwin, and that number ain't it. So if that's their offer, then they're wasting their time and Liverpool's. And for what it's worth, by the way, I think Darwin's been overpriced. I think he's worth about 50 million quid max. I think that's fair, Craig. I don't think it would be heavy on his mind, but definitely something he should think about. Simon said only subscribe Thursday night, feel part of the community. We'll welcome in, Simon. Maybe it's different structure. Maybe, but the structure I don't believe was the problem, mate. The problem was the number. And look, for what it's worth, I'd entertain the 44 plus 4. You're getting to £40 million ish there. Like I said, I don't see the £70 million valuation for Darwin Núñez. I don't think that's a justifiable valuation, apart from the fact that maybe a club in Saudi would pay it. But if that's now what we're saying is the market value for footballers, then I think we're going to be in a weird scenario. Did you see the tribute from Robbie Williams? I did, yeah, I did. And like I said, all the tributes from anybody of any walk of life towards Diogo, certainly one that us Liverpool fans appreciate. Dean said, I feel for our new players tomorrow. First day walking into a quiet sad building. Hope our players can move on. I get where you're coming from, but I'd also say that there can be a reverse of that as well, and it can be a very bonding experience where they feel like they're doing something greater than the sum of themselves and moving and building to something big. So I think you can use it in a motivational sense if harnessed the right way, which I'm sure they will. What's this? Adam, I'm good, thank you, mate. Appreciate you coming in. Adam Christmas, man, thank you. LFC needs to do a Konate and Rodrigo swap. I mean, may I be a liar if I said I wouldn't be tempted. I would. So I totally can understand the shout. I don't know what happens with Konate. I haven't got a clue. But I know I don't want to see another player walking out the door for free in a year. So if there's a world where we can do something that works, I wouldn't be against it. As much as I don't want to be really entertaining any business with Madrid, I'd rather Liverpool gets something that they feel is worthwhile from it. I gotta say though, I sincerely want him to stay. I keep saying this, like, I don't think he's irreplaceable, but I really do like Ibrahima Konate is part of our squad. Always seems like a very good humoured fella as well. So I hope he stays, but there's just not much in the way of positivity out there to suggest that that's likely to happen at the minute. Sharkovic said, thanks for calling out Sasha. So I guess I should give that some context, right? For people who don't know. Most of the time you see something posted on the Anfield Agenda X account, it ain't me. But I did today ask for that post that said, basically, can you stop with your nonsense, because he's, in my opinion, just full of it. So let's go back and revisit some of what Taglieri's had to say in this window. Everything that I've seen has been him jumping on a Romano post or somebody else and trying to guess what happens next. So he said Wirtz was going to be on a plane in a few hours, and he wasn't. He's been wrong about pretty much a lot of what I've seen, and I think he's a complete chancer. And I think I'm just tired of it, to be honest with you. I'm tired of people out there playing with people's emotions to try and make themselves something that they aren't. And I just think he's a complete spoofer. Personally, I just don't take anything he says with any sincerity. You know, just my opinion. But I couldn't help it today. I just seen it and I just thought, nah, just shut up. Just stop. And also, you know, me criticising the journalist kind of somehow felt like a little bit of normality as well, in a weird way. We've done that one. This one. What do you make of the Arsenal rumours? They've added depth and now potentially a goal-scoring machine. So I have to... There's two ways to look at this situation, right? There's the way I could look at it and would I want Gyökeres at Liverpool? And the answer is no. But can I see why an Arsenal fan base will be happy about it? Yeah, I totally can. The comparisons of him being the third best striker in the world is laughable from a fan base that, let's be honest, give us many laughable moments. But Zubamendi's a good signing. Norgaard's a solid, if not, you know, earth-shattering bit of business. And Gyökeres is a position that they need to bring in. Would I be happy if Liverpool brought in Madueke? No, wouldn't think he's good enough. But if Arteta wants to spend £50 million on him, crack on. But I guess the gist of it, MD, for me is, do I think that Arsenal have given me cause for concern for next season? No, I don't. That and the fact that my dislike for everything about that football club has gone through the roof with the Partey situation and the cowardice of the way that they've tried to worm their way out of even talking about it, and the bullshit that we've all had to deal with from some of their fans. And I say some because there's always good Arsenal fans out there, like my friend Lee Gunner and others. But I just don't. In the course of 18 months, I've gone from a point where I never would have put Arsenal in the group of clubs that I dislike to a point where I cannot stand anything about them, because the fan base is on social media absolutely deranged. The vitriol and bullshit that they come out with is embarrassing. So yeah, let them believe whatever they want to believe. But ultimately, when they come up short, it will be somebody else's fault. But like I said, yeah, I never had any issues with Arsenal until their fans start thinking they're something that they ain't, and start thinking they're better than other people, and I just don't have time for that. Martin said, if Diaz is on 140k a week, he's getting well paid, and he's not as good as Sadio Mane, so he's on a fair salary. I think that's fair. And by the way, when I say these things about Arsenal, I'm not trying to say every Arsenal fan. There's many lovely Arsenal fans that got it. Some of them have been in here, like I mentioned Lee. I'm certainly not trying to tar them all with one brush. But the way the football club, as a club, conduct themselves, I find deplorable, to be honest. And I find that, and I've said this many times, so I guess it's nothing new, I find that some of their content from the fans has given the rest of fan content a shitty name, and we've wrestled with that as an industry ever since. And I've no time for it. It's just nonsense. Nonsense is the only word I could use to describe it. Lego Man's comment of the League Cup ball was the funniest thing last season. He's, I don't know. They just, I don't know. Wes says deplorable's a bit much. For me, mate, wanting to renew somebody who had them charges and playing him that many times, deplorable's the word I'm comfortable with. And then saying the player's not contracted to Arsenal so we can't talk about it, to pussy out of trying to wash your hands. Nah, I'm sorry, man. I expect more than that from people who, and let's be honest, I don't want to bring other things up, but these big institutions, like a football club in this case, have a great way to tell the rest of us how to fucking act and what morality to carry and what way the club's values are and are not. And then when a fan or somebody else acts with something, it's ruthless and like that, removed, season ticket gone, end of buy. And yet a club will, in this case, put money over morality. And to me, that's inexcusable and deplorable. But if you think deplorable is a bit too harsh, that's okay. This is just my opinion. And I think that anybody preaching to the rest of the world about how we should act and conduct ourselves and how football should be, safe space, inclusive, and you don't have the guts to say what needs to be said, you don't have the right, in my opinion, to preach to the rest of us. Brian, starting to support Liverpool. Welcome, mate. You made the right decision. Welcome. I feel happy with my choice, as you should, bro, as you should. The way Liverpool will continue to provide for Jota's family financially got me personally, as I'm a father myself. Well, one thing, mate, is I have faults with our club on many things over the years, as do all fans, but when it matters, Liverpool, Everton, Manchester United, they get it right. They get it right. And that means a lot to me as a fan, because I think how Liverpool have conducted themselves has been beautiful. I don't have another word for it. It's been leadership. And I'm very grateful for that leadership from the top of the club right down. Have I heard of the Wexford Eagles American football team? What would you say if I told you that there was a Wexford Eagles jersey in my house? Because there is. My daughter's boyfriend played with them, and she has the jersey. So yeah, I've heard of them, mate. At times they actually trained, or one of them trained behind my house. There's a GAA pitch behind my house, and yeah. So yeah, I do know them, mate. I do know them. Habanero, welcome in, mate. Welcome in. Right, folks. Again, thank you all for coming in tonight. Tomorrow we probably will start to get back into the real swing of things again with news videos and stuff like that. Thank you for being there for each other, for being there for me, for being the people that I know that you are day in and day out. And again, I want to say a heartfelt thank you to all opposition clubs fans who've come in to share their condolences and sentiments. It's certainly, I know, something appreciated by everybody. So thank you, and I love you all, and I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Much love. Bye bye.